Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about The Boys again. I typically do not try to cover TV shows week to week for two reasons. One, I'm really bad at watching TV shows when they come out, and for two, I try to focus mostly on movies on this channel. But that being said, I just had my most successful video of all time, and I was talking about The Boys, so I'm going to continue talking about it. I got a fan theory that I have that I'm sure a lot of other people out there are probably having the same theories, and I kind of wanted to come on here and talk about it a little bit because I think after episode 4, a couple of things that have happened have kind of convinced people that like this theory that I have is like definitely not something that's going to happen, and I want to stick to my guns and believe that it will happen. So that being said, I'm going to dive into what this theory is, and we're just going to go ahead and get right into this, shall we? Okay, so before I get too far into this, I do want to go ahead and address this. I have not been watching videos about The Boys, and I haven't been on social media a lot, so I don't know what the general consensus is with these characters, but I have a theory that two characters that we are currently seeing in the show are not actually existing. I feel like they're characters who have only interacted with certain individual characters who have something in common. So, the theory here is quite simple. Temp V is making it so that Hughie and Butcher are both kind of schizophrenic, and they're seeing people who don't actually exist, and they're not currently there. So, the reason I want to bring this up is for two reasons. One, Butcher has a new friend named Jeffrey Dean Morgan. That's the name of the actor. I don't know the name of the character. I don't know if they've said the name of the character. But Negan from Walking Dead showed up, and he's a badass. He's somebody who's worked with Butcher in the past, and he's clearly somebody who's kind of corrupt like Butcher is. And Butcher's also been seeing his ex-wife, who is now dead. And I think that it's really interesting how those characters, like Butcher is seeing a couple of different people, and Hughie is also seeing somebody who hasn't been around in a really long time, and as far as he's concerned, hasn't been there for his father or whatever. Like, as far as he knows, she left one day, she never came back, and he doesn't know why. So there's a lot of things that could definitely be happening with that situation, and the one thing that Hughie and Butcher have in common, on top of just being some of the best characters in the shows and mostly the main characters of the show, they both took Temp V in the last season. They both took it multiple times. They both used powers on several occasions, and Butcher is definitely dying from it. That's what the show is telling us. That's what the show wants us to think. That's definitely what everybody is telling us, and it's something that is very obvious that like they're setting up. He took Temp V too much, and now it's going to ruin his life. And as of the last episode, we've seen he kind of like has powers, and he addressed something that I want to complain about a little bit, because I did a video talking about who all I thought was going to potentially die in this season, and before I made the video, I really heavily debated Butcher, because my thought process was that Butcher was just going to take regular V, and via wish fulfillment, he was going to take regular V, and instead of just keeping his powers and, you know, being a superhero now, because he hates superheroes, he wouldn't want to do that to himself. My theory was he was going to take permanent V, and he was going to bring Soldier Boy out of his little captivity so that he could get rid of his superpowers. Two reasons why I wanted that to happen. One, Jensen Ackles as Superboy. Please bring him back into the show. If he doesn't show up again before this show is over, I'm going to be incredibly upset. And then another thing is I really would just really enjoy it if Butcher gives himself powers and he does kind of the hero thing of sacrificing the powers, because as much as I think that the boys are very evil and they constantly are doing a lot of really terrible things, they are the protagonists of the show, and one thing that's kind of been very apparent with characters like MM, at least, is that they're trying to do the right thing. And Butcher is somebody who's kind of never done the right thing. So I was kind of hoping that something like that would happen with his character in the season. But that being said, they revealed in the last episode that he has taken some Compound V, and he's taken the legit stuff, and he's had some of it, and it's in his system now. And he doesn't think that it's helping him. He thinks that he's still dying, and he thinks that it actually just shaved a couple of months off of his timeline. And I don't think that that's true. I think that he's gaining powers, and he's just having a bad reaction to the powers. And that being said, the Temp V, in my opinion, is making him see stuff. And for people who are like, hey, the characters who he's seeing have actually interacted with the story, and they have given him stuff, and they've done things to kind of like progress the story forward, and they've, you know, made contact with each other and stuff like that. I do want to go ahead and address something that I believe happens with real life schizophrenic people. I've done very little research on this, and I could be wrong. So I will take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, because in psychological issues where people are like envisioning things and they're having hallucinations, something that will occasionally happen. Okay, sorry for the awkward cutaway. My dog started barking, and I wanted to make sure that the audio didn't get messed up. But the thing that I want to talk about is manifestations. So for people who do not know what manifestations are, it's a relatively common thing with hallucinating and like people who potentially like get intoxicated and they see things that aren't actually there. Manifestations are usually things that would be comforting to a specific person. So for Butcher's sake, it would be like Becca showing up and being there and being like, no, you can't die, you got to stay alive, you got to fight, you got to get out of this situation or whatever. And another thing that manifestations can do is if there's something that is really bad for you that you probably should not be doing, your manifestations could potentially have somebody who looks familiar to you or has like some connection to your past or whatever. Like in my opinion, Negan's character, I'm going to continue calling him Negan. I don't know if that's right or wrong to do it, but if you guys know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. And it will have somebody who seems comforting, seems like somebody you can trust, and they will have you do things that you shouldn't be doing. And so for the example that I want to give with this is him getting the drugs. In the show, the person who gives him the drugs is Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, and the drugs are there so that he could potentially wipe out a superhero or at least knock out Ryan temporarily so that they can get him to some facility. And the problem with that is it could be a drug or a sedative or something that Butcher already had in his possession. He has it in a lab somewhere. He had somebody dig it up forever ago, and he's been holding onto it for potentially, you know, knocking out Homelander. And now that he has Ryan and he doesn't really want to hurt Ryan, he just wants to knock him out, he wants to use this drug, but in his mind, he knows that it's a wrong thing to do, and he doesn't want to create more trust issues with Ryan because he already has trust issues with Ryan. So the manifestation being somebody who's comforting to him, saying, hey, give him these drugs, it could actually just be his mind being like, hey, give him these drugs, but he wouldn't listen to his own thoughts. He had to listen to a trusted friend. And then the reason I want to bring this up is in the last episode of The Boys, season 4, a lot of people are really upset because Hughie wasn't going to use the Compound V to save his dad, and A-Train literally risked his life to go get that Compound V. And I think that at the end of the episode, when his mother, who is there in the room with them, takes the Compound V and uses it on their father, that it actually wasn't his mother doing it, and it was Hughie doing it. Hughie just didn't want to do it because he knew the right thing to do was letting his father go. So the manifestation was somebody else did it, so that Hughie in his mind doesn't have that self-consciousness or that like guilt of, oh my god, I just gave my dad some superpower thing, something's gonna happen, this isn't gonna be good. And I really like that. I like everything about where this show is going. I hope that in the next episode we could kind of figure out if any of this has any what's it called, truth to it, because my big thing is I think that it is a very intentional decision to introduce new characters and only have them interact with one individual character, because a lot of times when they're introducing characters to the boys or whatever, like Mallory, when we see her for the first time, she's interacting with she's interacting with Butcher, but for some reason Butcher is only interacting with Negan's character. Negan is always purposely finding Butcher when he is alone, and I believe in the first episode there's literally a moment where Butcher is interacting with him and everybody else is just like, who are you talking to? And I feel like as much as that could just be like oh, they're kind of spies or whatever, they can just kind of disappear whenever they're done having a conversation, I also think it's a testament to the fact that he might not actually be there. And then the same thing with like Hughie going on and on about his mother. Annie hasn't seen him, and she's been in the hospital with him. The only other character who really has been in the hospital the entire time who could potentially be witnessing these interactions is Hughie's dad, but he's in a coma. So I think that it's a very deliberate choice to not have them interacting with a bunch of other people. The scene with the lawyer mentions that his mother has the rights and stuff to him. Doesn't necessarily prove that his mother is actually physically there. Like, obviously she could be, but I don't know if she is or not. But anyways, I wanted to double down on that theory because as the next episode comes out, you'll probably immediately figure out that I am wrong and that this video aged poorly, but I wanted to at least say with confidence what I think is happening. But yeah, that being said, that was it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. I love and appreciate you guys so much for watching, and if you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Back at it again, but that's a relevant flow, so smooth. They calling me Mr. Elegant, like an elephant. I got a long nose, like a president. I've got a few hoes, swift with a stutter. I'm smooth like butter. Don't see it coming when I slip undercover, like a big dog, but I don't bite. I'm still a big broad. I'd win that fight. Come match you and I knock out your lights.